Deathpixie disclaimer. This video was originally recorded in September 2024. There is swearing and profanity. Sources are listed in the description. This video is not monetized. Any ads you see provide revenue to the hosting site, not the creators. If you made it this far, geez, you have a lot of patience.
Dance Pixie, dancing on the lip of madness.
Welcome to Shitty PowerPoint Theater. Dignity not included.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah. Bring on.
Oh, John N. Turner was so shafted. So his biggest thing was he was a quote-unquote friend of Princess Margaret. Can neither confirm nor deny if anything went on with Princess Margaret. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He was Liberal Party. He took over for Trudeau when Trudeau retired. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, I should say. He married Gillies Kilgore, and they had 4 children. She was a then systems engineer with IBM and the great niece of the Canadian Army doctor John McCrae. Please tell me you recognize that name.
John McCrae?
Yes, tell me you recognize that name.
Can you tell me more? Because I do not recognize McCrae.
Between the Crosses, row on row.
Oh, him.
That one. I'm going to admit it. He got shafted. He got left with the bag and got a little shafted here. He didn't really get to do anything. So it was 200 plus 70 appointments. That was the FU move by Pierre Elliott Trudeau that was dropped into his lap. He was also caught on TV patting the butts of 2 women. Whether or not it was consensual, I could not tell you, but it happened.
But either way, it is a great thing when you're trying to stave off the religious right to have something like that happen. Obviously, that's not going to galvanize anything.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. There are a lot of intricacies with these appointments, and like I said, I really feel like we'd have to go through them all with a fine-tooth comb to understand, were they necessary, were they created positions, were they actually qualified, etc., etc. So yeah, that was the big thing. That was the big thing that Brian Mulroney got him on. That was the big thing that like just very much undermined him was that.
Yep.
There's a lot of details on the patronage stuff, and that is referring to those appointments. So anyway, that was the big issue. Yeah. So that's really what you need to know. That's kind of the need to know thing. So his big quote was, "I am not going to play politics on the floor of the House of Commons."
No, absolutely not. You're going to play doctor.
Anyway, his 79 days is the second shortest tenure as Prime Minister. He, in fact, advised the Governor General to dissolve Parliament after being sworn in, which triggered an election. When you ask to dissolve Parliament, it triggers an election. Yep. He was actually big into track and field and went to Oxford. And one of his teammates was Roger Bannister, who became the first runner to break the 4-minute barrier in the mile. Interesting side note. There were, in fact, rumors of him marrying Princess Margaret. That's how far those rumors got, but that never happened. They remained friends until her death. In 1965, Turner was vacationing in Barbados, and he saw a former prime minister, who was then leader of the opposition, was struggling in strong surf and an undertow. Turner was also a competitive swimmer while in university, so he jumped in and pulled him to shore. Do you want to know which former prime minister that was?
Well, gee, the lettering here doesn't give it away at all. So I'm
Not
going
at
to
all.
say, given their oppositional views, I'm going to say it was Lester B. Pearson, the bastard.
Sadly, it was the Deef.
Oh!
Yes.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. So he had a few quotes. This one, the context of it is that there's politics and there's politicking. So he was referring to the fact that he wanted to get the job done. He didn't want to sell himself and campaign on the floor of the House of Commons. So that's what he was talking about. That's what it was in reference to. Another one. In any democracy, there's always a tug of war between policies to achieve equality and policies to promote excellence. I am certain that Canada can achieve both equality and excellence. I guess there were fewer differences between me and social psychologists than between me and other people in general. Substantive and procedural law benefits and protects landlords over tenants, creditors over debtors, lenders over borrowers, and the poor are seldom among the favored parties. And finally, the most common objection to changes in public policy, which would increase a user's control of housing at the expense of centralized institutions, is that standards would be lowered as a result. The standards the objectors have in mind, however, are not something that can be achieved with available resources, but rather represent the objector's own notion of what housing ought to be. So I did just want to give him, his dues. He went to the University of British Columbia at the age of 16. And he was part of the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. And was an outstanding track sprinter. He got BA honors. He also got a Rhodes Scholarship for Magdalen College at the University of Oxford. So he got a BA in Jurisprudence there. Jurisprudence. There we go. I'm sorry. He did doctorate studies at the University of Paris. He was a lawyer. He was a cabinet minister under both Trudeau and Lester B. Pearson, Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs, Minister of Justice, and Attorney General, he actually did a lot to strengthen the rights of individual defendants on trial and greater efficiency in the justice system, which, we could use. We could use some more effective efficiencies now because there's quite a backlog. He created the influential Law Reform Commission as well. And he led the government's position on the Official Languages Act in addition to that. He was the Minister of Finance. He resigned in 1975, became a corporate lawyer on Bay Street. Then he became party leader. Then he became prime minister. Then he was opposition leader, but his leadership was called into question. Basically, because the Liberals had a very large Senate majority, they were able to stall a lot of Mulroney's legislation. And there was a group of young Liberal MPs known as the Rat Pack that pestered Mulroney at every turn. In case you didn't know, both Crabsworth and I are happy to see Mulroney get pestered. We don't care.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
The members of that Rat Pack included Sheila Copps, Brian Tobin, Don Boudria, and John Nunzita. So you're going to hear about them soon in 2 prime ministers. He resigned from leader of the opposition, became a lawyer again. Went back to law, I should really say. Board members for several corporations, member of the Canadian delegation that monitored the runoff vote in the 2004 Ukrainian president election. So gave support for the campaign for the establishment of a United Nations Parliamentary Assembly. In 2017, he was awarded the gold member of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society. He did die in 2020, and he had a pared down state funeral due to COVID. If any final words for Turner?
Absolutely not, to be perfectly honest with you.
There's not a lot to say, but
No.
I mean, scandal with a princess.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's all I have to say.
Hey, this is Trapdoor Crabsworth for deathpixie. If you liked our content, please like this video and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just check out our links in the description. Do it. Do it or Miri will kill you.